Initiating moisture.
There's a lot of controversy surrounding Captain Marvel. I don't give a shit about any of it. We're not going to talk about it or touch on it. We're just going to look at the movie and see if it was a good fucking movie or not. So, the movie's main character is Captain Marvel, as you would expect from the title of the film, Captain Marvel. She's not a very good character, unfortunately. I don't think she's bad, and I even think Brie Larson does a great job with the character, but it seems like she doesn't really have a personality of her own. There's nothing memorable about her as a character. Her powers are pretty fucking cool, and I think they did a great job of showing how strong the character is physically from a powers perspective, at least at the end of the movie. Up until then, it was very lackluster with its action and showing Captain Marvel doing shit. And the action in this movie is my biggest complaint. It was some of the worst action in any Marvel movie I've seen, rivaling even Ant-Man and the Wasp in terms of its lazy, uninteresting action. I'd rather watch two fucking action figures colliding than half the shit on the screen, because at least it wouldn't be as nauseating watching action figures collide. In this movie, I was goddamn sick during some of the fight scenes. The shaky cam was unbearable. It seemed like every fucking camera operator was undergoing a seizure while filming every action scene. It was bad. I absolutely despised the action scenes, and they weren't even good from a choreography perspective. They weren't even flashy. They were just bad and an eyesore, honestly. And that's a shame when it's a superhero movie where the action is always what it leads up to. You have a fucking superhero that's about to super fist some assholes with their power, and in here you didn't look forward to that. This movie's at its best when it's not giving you action and it's giving you a little buddy cop movie between Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury, and Captain Marvel, Brie Larson. I think the chemistry between those two is great, even though it's really just Sam carrying the conversations. But even still, it's fun to watch them banter back and forth. There's a cool cat that comes into play that I thought was a good character. I thought the cat was just going to be a gimmicky bullshit thing, but it turned out it was a character that I liked and I thought was used well. From a story perspective, it's as cliche as it gets. This is the most cliche superhero movie I think I've ever seen in my life. This is like some mid-90s Saturday morning cartoon level of cheese. And not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but everything this movie does has been done before and done much better by other superhero movies. I think Wonder Woman is a stronger character than Captain Marvel. I think they're very similar in terms of how they were portrayed in their movies, but Wonder Woman was significantly more interesting, significantly better of a character than Captain Marvel. I also don't like the gimmick of the main character suffering from amnesia, not knowing her past, so then you slowly piece it together as to how they got there. I don't like that. Just start with all the knowledge out there and then give us some fun. I don't like where the character's drastically weakened and we have to go a whole movie getting back to where they were at the very start or figuring out how they got there. I don't like that shit. That's a pet peeve. I don't think they do amnesia poorly in here. It's not well done, but I don't think it's bad. It's just very generic. They very slowly piece the puzzle pieces together, and oh, what do you know? The most expected outcome is what you're left with. The story is incredibly predictable. The villain's incredibly predictable. Honestly, there's nothing in this movie from like a narrative perspective that's going to capture anyone's interest. Now, this is not to say that it's bad, because it's not. It's just so average, expected, predictable, safe. It's forgettable. It's unfortunately very, very forgettable, where you don't regret seeing it, because there are some good moments in this movie. I definitely think there are some good moments, for sure. None of them involving fights, because all of those suck ass. But towards the end of the movie, there's some cool shit that goes on, and I think some of the characters are strong, especially Samuel L. Jackson's character, and also there's a Skrull character in here that I think is very well fleshed out and developed. I just think this whole movie was super, super formulaic. I know Marvel has a formula that we've all come to expect, but they always put a nice little spin on it, whether it's the visuals, whether it's the humor, whether it's a twist in the story, something. This has none of that. There is none of that here. This is just as if a fucking Google AI experiment was tasked to make the most by-the-numbers superhero movie it could. This would be the result. And that's unfortunate to say, because I think Captain Marvel is a really cool character conceptually, and I do like the character. I just don't think the character really shines in this movie at all. Maybe in Avengers Endgame she will, but here It's just in a super forgettable movie that I don't think anyone's going to remember going into Endgame. They'll have to go back, rewatch this, and figure out who the fuck Captain Marvel is and how she got there. Yeah, I mean, that's about all I have to say about that. I mean, even the sound. I was expecting like perhaps a good score even. I'd settle for like a better soundtrack than other Marvel movies, but you didn't get that. Everything here is predictably Marvel, but below Marvel standards, honestly. It doesn't quite reach the good Marvel movies. It's like right smack dab in the middle Marvel movies. This is like early Marvel movies. This would be like in the fucking early phases of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This would be smack dab in there. And that's unfortunate considering this was supposed to be a heavy hitter and setting up this crazy powerful character. So it's a bit of a letdown that the movie to showcase all that was so forgettable. Let's plug this shit into the moist meter. I'm giving Captain Marvel a 65%. Again, to reiterate, it's not a bad movie. It is extremely predictable with some good moments, but the action is never one of those good moments. I can't stress that enough. I really despised when anything was fucking happening on screen that could be even misconstrued as action. It was so poorly done. I don't know what kind of fucking filming techniques they learned in school, but that school needs to just be abolished. Get it out of here. That school is a goddamn crime against eyes if they're teaching their students to film movie action scenes like this one here. It's bad. I really didn't like the action. That's it. See ya.